The year is 1919. The streets of Germany are filled with a somber silence, a stark contrast to the bustling life that once characterized its cities. The people walk with a sense of uncertainty, their faces etched with the hardships of the recent past. The Great War, a conflict of unprecedented brutality, has finally ended. The echoes of artillery fire and the cries of soldiers still linger in the memories of those who survived. The war has left deep scars, not just on the land, but on the very soul of the nation. Germany, once a proud and powerful empire, lies defeated and humiliated. The grandeur of its cities has been reduced to rubble, and the spirit of its people is broken. The once mighty nation now faces an uncertain future, grappling with the consequences of a war that has reshaped the world. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in the mirrored halls of the Palace of Versailles, has stripped Germany of its territories, its army, and its pride. The terms are harsh and unforgiving, designed to ensure that Germany can never again rise to challenge the powers of Europe. The treaty is a symbol of Germany's defeat and a constant reminder of its humiliation. The economic consequences are devastating. The once thriving economy is now in shambles, with businesses closing their doors and streets filled with the destitute. The war has drained the nation's resources, and the reparations demanded by the Treaty of Versailles only add to the burden. Germany is burdened with crippling war reparations, forced to pay for the sins of a conflict it did not start alone. The reparations are a heavy weight on the nation's shoulders, stifling any hope of economic recovery. The leaders of Germany are left to navigate a treacherous path, trying to balance the demands of the treaty with the needs of their people. The German mark, once a symbol of stability, is in freefall, its value plummeting by the day. Hyperinflation grips the nation, turning everyday transactions into a nightmare. People carry wheelbarrows of money just to buy a loaf of bread, and the savings of a lifetime are rendered worthless in an instant. Savings are wiped out, businesses crumble, and ordinary Germans struggle to afford basic necessities. The cost of living skyrockets, and the shelves of stores are increasingly bare. The once prosperous middle class is now plunged into poverty, and the gap between the rich and the poor widens. The streets are filled with the unemployed, the disillusioned, and the desperate. Political instability reigns. The government is unable to provide solutions, and the people lose faith in their leaders. The social fabric of the nation is unraveling, and the future looks bleak. The Kaiser has abdicated, and the fledgling Weimar Republic, established in the ashes of defeat, is struggling to maintain order. The new government is fragile, beset by internal divisions and external pressures. It is a time of great uncertainty as the nation tries to find its footing in a changed world. Extremist groups, both on the left and the right, capitalize on the chaos. They offer simplistic solutions to complex problems, preying on the anxieties of a nation teetering on the brink. These groups promise a return to greatness, a restoration of national pride, and an end to the suffering. They offer simplistic solutions to complex problems, preying on the anxieties of a nation teetering on the brink. Their rhetoric is filled with promises of a better future, but their true intentions are far more sinister. They seek to exploit the nation's vulnerabilities for their own gain. It is in this fertile ground of resentment, economic hardship, and political turmoil that the seeds of a dangerous ideology will be sown. The people, desperate for change, are willing to listen to anyone who offers hope, even if that hope is built on a foundation of hatred and division. The seeds of National Socialism. In the midst of this chaos, a new movement begins to take shape. One that will have profound and devastating consequences for Germany and the world. The rise of National Socialism marks the beginning of a dark chapter in human history, one that will be remembered for its brutality and inhumanity. In the beer halls and smoke-filled backrooms of Munich, a city still reeling from the aftermath of World War I and the economic hardships that followed, a new political force is taking shape, the National Socialist Party, or Nazi Party for short. This nascent movement is fueled by a potent mix of anger, disillusionment, and a desperate desire for change. Founded in 1920, it initially attracted a motley crew of disgruntled veterans, disillusioned nationalists, and fringe intellectuals. These were individuals who felt betrayed by their government and humiliated by the terms of the Treaty of Versailles, which had imposed harsh reparations and territorial losses on Germany. At its helm is a charismatic but deeply troubled Austrian war veteran, Adolf Hitler. Born in Austria in 1889, Hitler had served in the German army during World War I and had been deeply affected by Germany's defeat. Hitler possesses a hypnotic speaking style and an uncanny ability to tap into the fears and frustrations of the German people. His speeches are filled with fiery rhetoric and grand promises, and he quickly becomes the face of the Nazi movement. He offers them scapegoats for their suffering: the Jews, the communists, the liberals, and anyone else he deems responsible for Germany's woes. His anti-Semitic views are particularly virulent, and he blames the Jews for everything from Germany's economic problems to its defeat in the war, the very architects of the hated Versailles Treaty. This treaty, signed in 1919, had placed full blame for the war on Germany and had imposed severe economic and territorial penalties. Many Germans viewed it as a national humiliation. The Nazi ideology is a toxic brew of nationalism, anti-Semitism, and a yearning for a return to a mythical German past. It promises to restore Germany to its former glory, to avenge the humiliation of Versailles, and to create a new world order dominated by the Aryan race, a master race that Hitler believes is superior to all others. This ideology is spread through relentless propaganda, which glorifies the Aryan race and demonizes Jews and other perceived enemies. The Nazis also promote the idea of eugenics, advocating for the purification of the German race through selective breeding and the elimination of those deemed unfit. This pseudoscientific belief system further fuels their racist and anti-Semitic agenda. This message, delivered with Hitler's fiery passion and wrapped in the banner of national revival, resonates with a growing number of Germans. In a country plagued by economic instability, political chaos, and a sense of lost national pride, the Nazi Party's promises of strength, unity, and renewal strike a powerful chord. The Nazis offer a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose in a world that seems to have lost its way. They create a tightly knit community, bound together by shared beliefs and a common enemy. This sense of camaraderie and purpose is intoxicating for many, drawing more and more people into the fold. The party also targets the youth, establishing organizations like the Hitler Youth to indoctrinate the next generation with their ideology. Through rallies, propaganda films, and youth programs, the Nazis work tirelessly to shape the minds and hearts of young Germans, ensuring the future of their movement. They also engage in widespread censorship and propaganda, controlling the media and suppressing any dissenting voices. Books that contradict their ideology are burned, and any form of opposition is ruthlessly crushed. As the Nazi Party grows in strength and numbers, they begin to make significant inroads into the political landscape of Germany. Through a combination of propaganda, intimidation, and political maneuvering, they start to gain seats in the Reichstag, Germany's parliament. The swastika, the party's emblem, becomes a ubiquitous symbol of their growing power. It's displayed at rallies, marches, and on propaganda materials, becoming a powerful and terrifying symbol of the Nazis' rise. With each passing year, Hitler's influence grows and the Nazi Party's grip on Germany tightens. The stage is set for a dark and tumultuous chapter in history, one that will have devastating consequences for Germany and the world. The early years of the Nazi Party are marked by street brawls, political rallies that often descend into violence, and failed attempts to seize power. The party gains notoriety, but its support remains limited. However, the Wall Street crash of 1929 and the ensuing Great Depression will change everything. As the global economy collapses, Germany is plunged into an even deeper abyss of unemployment, poverty, and despair. The Weimar Republic, already fragile, seems powerless to alleviate the suffering of its people. The Nazis, with their promises of national salvation and their scapegoating of minorities, appear to offer a way out. Their message finds a receptive audience among the millions who have lost everything. Hitler understands the power of propaganda. He utilizes every available medium, newspapers, radio, mass rallies, to spread his message of hate and hope. His rallies, carefully orchestrated spectacles of sound and fury, become legendary. Swastika banners flutter, torches illuminate the night sky, and Hitler's voice, amplified by loudspeakers, booms across vast crowds, promising a 1,000-year Reich of German dominance. On the night of February 27, 1933, a fire engulfs the Reichstag building, the seat of German parliament. The fire breaks out suddenly and spreads rapidly, consuming the historic structure in a matter of hours. The blaze is so intense that it can be seen from miles away, drawing crowds of onlookers who watch in horror as the heart of German democracy is reduced to ashes. The flames rise high above the Berlin skyline, casting an eerie glow across the city. The night sky is illuminated by the inferno, and the air is thick with smoke and the acrid smell of burning wood and paper. The fire's reflection dances on the waters of the Spree River, creating a hauntingly beautiful yet tragic scene. The Nazis are quick to blame the communists, claiming the fire is part of a larger plot to overthrow the government. They assert that this is the beginning of a communist uprising, a claim that spreads fear and panic among the German populace. Nazi propaganda machines go into overdrive, churning out messages that paint the communists as the ultimate enemy of the state. Whether or not the Nazis themselves were responsible for the fire remains a subject of debate to this day, but they certainly exploit the tragedy to its fullest. The fire provides them with the perfect pretext to crack down on their political adversaries. The public, already anxious and fearful, is more willing to accept drastic measures in the name of security and stability. Hitler seizes the opportunity to consolidate his power. He uses the fire as a rallying cry, presenting himself as the only leader capable of saving Germany from the supposed communist threat. His speeches become more fervent, and his promises of restoring order and greatness to Germany resonate with a populace desperate for strong leadership. He persuades President Hindenburg to sign the Reichstag fire decree, suspending civil liberties and granting the government sweeping powers of arrest and detention. This decree marks a significant turning point, as it effectively nullifies many of the freedoms that Germans had enjoyed under the Weimar Republic. The decree allows the Nazis to bypass the legal system and act with impunity. Political opponents, particularly communists and socialists, are rounded up, imprisoned without trial, and sent to newly established concentration camps. These camps, initially intended to hold political prisoners, soon become places of unimaginable suffering and death. The arrests are swift and brutal, with many people disappearing overnight, never to be seen again. The Nazis use the fear and chaos engendered by the fire to justify their increasingly authoritarian measures. They argue that such measures are necessary to protect the nation from internal enemies. Propaganda posters and rallies reinforce the message that the Nazi Party is the only force capable of defending Germany from chaos and destruction. The press is muzzled, free speech is stifled, and any semblance of democracy is quickly eroded. Newspapers that dare to criticize the regime are shut down, and journalists who refuse to toe the party line are arrested or worse. The flow of information is tightly controlled, ensuring that only the Nazi narrative reaches the public. Germany, once a beacon of Enlightenment thought and culture, is descending into a totalitarian abyss. The vibrant intellectual and artistic life that had flourished in the Weimar Republic is being snuffed out. Scholars, artists, and thinkers who do not conform to Nazi ideology are silenced, and the rich cultural heritage of Germany is being systematically dismantled. The Reichstag fire marks the beginning of a dark chapter in German history, one that will have devastating consequences for the entire world.